are here to say to the public that there's actually a vampire horror movie going to go on at this convention center this week. There are all these oil and gas executives. They've flown in with the intention of they want to make a profit at any cost. They want to bleed Africa dry.
Africa is facing a pivotal moment in its history, with critical decisions to be made about its energy future. At the Africa Oil Week conference in Cape Town, leaders and policymakers gathered to discuss the path forward. South Africa's Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, Gwede Mantashe, addressed the delegates with a call for continued investment in oil and gas.
We appeal to delegates at this conference and the investment community to continue investing in developing oil and gas to enable a prosperous energy outlook for Africa and promote sustainable development. We are not seeing ourselves in isolation from the continent. We are part of the continent, which is endowed with rich deposits of almost everything. But it remains a poor continent.
Africa is indeed rich in natural resources. According to the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, the continent holds approximately 125 billion barrels of proven oil reserves and 550 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserves. These resources represent significant economic opportunities, potentially worth trillions of dollars. Yet, despite this wealth, about 40% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa lives in extreme poverty, surviving on less than $1.9 a day, according to the World Bank's latest estimates. Access to reliable energy is a critical factor in alleviating poverty, and proponents of fossil fuel investment argue that oil and gas development is essential for powering industries, creating jobs, and improving living standards. However, outside the conference, environmental activists from Extinction Rebellion gathered to protest the continued investment in fossil fuels.
We say that with time that we move to renewables, there is so much evidence. You just turn on the news every single day. There is a drought, there is a hurricane, there is a flood.
Critics argue that the exploitation of fossil fuels has historically benefited a small elite while leaving lasting negative impact on communities and the environment. In Nigeria, for example, despite being one of Africa's largest oil producers, over 40% of the population lives below national poverty line, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The Niger Delta region suffers from severe pollution due to oil spills affecting livelihoods and health. Moreover, climate change poses a significant threat to Africa, which is highly vulnerable to its impact despite contributing just 3.8% to global greenhouse gas emissions, according to the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP. Increased frequency of droughts, floods, and extreme weather events are already affecting food security and livelihoods across the continent. Uganda's Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Sentamu, addressed the need for a balanced approach.
When we succeed, we will tell the story that we can carefully exploit and we can carefully use the fossil fuel carefully, and then save the environment. So it is going to be a case study for Africa.
The potential for renewable energy in Africa is immense. The International Renewable Energy Agency reports that Africa could achieve 310 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030, primarily from solar, wind, and hydro sources. Investing in clean energy not only reduces greenhouse gas emissions, but also creates jobs and enhances energy security. Countries like Kenya are leading the way. As of 2021, over 90% of Kenya's electricity is generated from renewable energy sources, with significant investment in geothermal, hydro, wind, and solar power. South Africa is also expanding its renewable energy capacity, aiming to reduce its reliance on coal and decrease emissions. The debate over Africa's energy future is complex. While fossil fuels offer immediate economic benefits, the long-term costs to environment and public health are significant. Renewable energy presents a sustainable path forward but requires substantial investment and infrastructure development. Africa has the right to pursue economic growth and lift its people out of poverty. The critical question is, which path will lead to true sustainable development? As the world watches, Africa stands at this crucial juncture with the decisions made today set to define its trajectory for decades to come. This is Ifeoluwa Daniel reporting on the pivotal choices facing Africa's energy landscape.